in single variable calculus, we have the chain rule right here. If y is a function of f of g of x, then when you take the derivative, we have y prime is equal to f prime of g of x times g prime of x. So we take the derivative of the entire outside function, and then we multiply that by the derivative of the inside function, something like that. So we can also write it, if f is x of t, f is a function of x of t, when we take the derivative of f with respect to t, we have to take the derivative of f with respect to x, and then the derivative of x with respect to t, multiplying them together. Now, when we have a multivariable function, let's say z is equal to f of x, y, we can say x is x of t, y is y of t. Then when we take the derivative, let's say we differentiate dz by dt, we have to use the chain rule for each one. So partial f by partial x, dx by dt, plus with y, dy by dt. For example, let's say z is x squared y plus cosine of y, with the parameter that x of t is equal to sine of t, and y of t is equal to e to the t. So if we want to find dz by dt, first we differentiate f with respect to x, so 2xy, and then multiply that by dx by dt. So if we multiply x of t, if we differentiate sine of t, we get cosine of t. And then we have to add the y terms, so differentiate with respect to y, so we get x squared plus sine of y, my mistake, minus sine of y. I always forget this, minus sine y. And then we want to differentiate by dy by dt. Differentiating that, we just get e to the t. We can then also write the original substitute, not the original substitution, but what x of t and y of t is. So, or r rather, 2 times sine of t e to the t cosine of t plus x squared is sine of t, sine squared of t, minus sine of y, so sine of e to the t, e to the t. And that is the entire derivative of dz by dt with the chain rule. So it makes it a little more complicated. So we go from a single instance to now 2 instances. And if now this were, let's say, x, y, w, then we would have to include another term for w right there. So it would just be this, it would ultimately be a summation with however many terms we use but usually in multivariable it's going to be only 2 or 3 terms maximum. The chain rule can also be a little bit harder. Let's say we can have z is equal to f of x, y as before, but it can get a little more complicated. Let's say x is not a function of t anymore, but let's say x is now a function of r and s, just as y is a function of r and s too. So now when we find the derivative of z, we can say dz by dr is equal to the same thing, partial f by partial x by partial r. So this would be with respect to r. These are partials now because it's multivariable function. And then the same thing with s, but just replace all of the r's with s's. Z may be a function of x and y, but x and y are a function of r and s, so that means z is a function of r and s ultimately. So we could have 2 different derivatives with that. And that's basically the chain rule for multivariable functions. And that's about it. Thank you for watching.